Alright, my name is Kenneth Mindrin, and that's Aaron. That's Aaron's team. So we're the negative side. So there was no claim like how we would be able to, like what guidelines we will do to be able to create free college tuition, or how we will pay for it. So there are actually, there's actually already colleges in the world that have free tuition. So most of them are in Europe, and there's also Australia has already free tuition. So free is a relative term since taxpayers absorb the cost. And the European traditional has higher taxes than the US, and most of them have free tuition campuses. So these countries are able to offer more social services, such as free college, because they have higher taxes. So Lisa Goetz states that in 6 countries with virtually free college tuition, that free college sounds promising, but nothing is truly free. Norway offers free college, but has the highest cost of living in the world. Other countries that offer free college, such as France or Finland, only offer it for specific majors or if the applicant meets certain criteria. So for one of the main schools in the world that have free tuition, they have paid the most taxes, but they get more in return from the government. In the US, we do not pay nearly as much taxes as European countries do, so, and we don't get as much social services through them. And countries with free tuition land to have overcrowded campuses that are thinly stretched. So the more we go to college, you always have that one class that there's 100 people, you sit in the back, you never meet your professor. You feel like that you're not getting enough that you should be getting out of that class. So it unfairly forces, so with more campuses being crowded, it unfairly forces citizens to pay more taxes to fill the void, even if they don't have kids who attend colleges. So that's unfair, because your parents have to pay more taxes for this to create tuition to be free, and let's say you're not going to college, they're not going to be getting out of it in return for them. And also a problem with the free college is in Europe is that graduation rates are already a problem in Germany. So students fail to graduate on time, and the average graduation age following a master's degree is around 28 years old. And the average age following a master's degree in the US is 24 to 25. And that's Christopher Danhart states. So if we get free college, it's going to take longer because you have less incentives to get it quicker. The reason why we want to get out in 4 years is because the longer we're in here, the more money we will have to pay in the future. And my next point is that, so how are we going to pay for this free tuition? And that's, of course, through taxes. So free college isn't free. It simply shifts costs from students to taxpayers. The tuition cap limit of college spending to whatever the public is willing to invest. But it does not change the cost of college, and somebody is going to have to pay for it, which is going to be the government. And the government's going to pay for it by increasing taxes, which means that all of us in the future are going to have to pay for other people's education. And also, this is going back to the claim that in Germany, how they have the longer graduation rates due to like free tuition, because they could take longer because it doesn't cost that much. So if everyone decides to take an extra year to graduate because it is free, the burden of higher education on the public coffers will increase by 33%. So you can't speculate how much it's going to cost to have no free tuition, because that's just getting the data that we have, like if the average is 4 years per student. You have to take into account that if tuition is free, students are going to take longer. There's going to be more people going to college that you're going to have to pay for. And Dr. Borgenu, who was a professor and a former chancellor at UC Berkeley, states that. So he's talking. This was an article he wrote in February, talking about how Sanders free college, like during the election, how free college tuition was main idea floating around. So it's talking about, so Sanders' plan in contrast would increase taxes on the wealthy and the corporations to pay the basic cost of educating all students, rich or poor. Superficially, it's an appealing idea, but zeroing out tuition nationally would require tripling public funding for most state colleges and universities. So while education may not come at an immediate cost to the students because it's going to be free tuition, society as a whole is going to have to pay for it through taxes. And Andrew P. Kelly states so in his article of the problem is that college isn't free. So public funding hasn't kept up such changes in the past. For instance, California has the cheapest community college fees in the nation. During the recession enrollment boom and the state's budget for higher education took a hit, it was unable to raise revenue and had to turn students away or wasn't able to give out as much financial aid. So going to community college right now, or most universities, there's financial aid, there's Cal Grants, so there's ways to pay for it other than out of pocket. It's usually hardly out of pocket. And this is like even with so we've experienced hard times a couple years ago, the recession and everything. And so we were still able to get college, there's still financial aid even though it was decreased because of the state budget. So there's been a cry for the tuition for free tuition during this last election. If college was free, who would have to pay for the materials, the textbooks, for the teacher salaries, or even the college buildings that we study in? So the citizens will have to pay through a higher tax. And since the U.S. is already in debt, having to pay for everyone's college would throw the economy down into a worse recession.